What up, my Glip-Glops? Welcome back to the show. I am David Freak Turley, and subbing for me today is my Morty, none other than Aiden Zyrene Moon. How you doing?
I don't know, Freak. You sure we're going to do this cast?
We absolutely can. It's time to get down to business. It's time to defeat some enemy champions. Team Impulse versus Counter Logic Gaming is up next. And surprisingly and very interestingly, Team Impulse put up a great fight yesterday up against Energy, which was pretty impressive for these guys. And it's just the latest in a long string of very competitive games where TIP looks like they can maybe just beat anybody. TIP might be a playoff team here.
Yeah, and Purian and Proxen have been performing well and are playing in step with the rest of the team. And mid lane could be really important in this matchup because Purian has been showing a lot of improvement, while yesterday, he's been back and forth, but that was definitely a step backwards for him in his performance. And Huhi was late to team fights and didn't look to be on the same page as the rest of his team.
Yeah, totally agree with this one. CLG, honestly, overall, they came out yesterday against Immortals. They looked like they were on a mission. They had some decent showings, but honestly, the whole squad a little bit overeager. You occasionally would see hesitation as well, not being on the same page, and, they got taken out.
Yeah, they seemed really antsy to kind of take out their former teammate of Pobelter and the Immortals. And, the Immortals, they do like to play very fast. In CLG, they tried to match that pace, but it definitely wasn't something they were comfortable with, and they couldn't seem to keep up. Darshan, in particular, in that top lane, he was coming out very aggressive, and all of that adrenaline actually backfired and caused him to make some misplays that I believe cost them a huge portion of that game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely some mistakes from the individual players here. But before we get ourselves into Champion Select, we hear from Proxen to tell us how the North American scene is different from the other regions.
일본은 대체로 한국 대회를 많이 보다 보니까 거의 따라하긴 하는데 피지컬적인 부분에서 차이가 많이 나고요. 북미는 이제 좀 소수 교전 같은 걸 자주 하잖아요. 한국은 거의 오브젝트 싸움만 하고 하다 보니까 제 생각에는 북미에서 대회하는 게 더 재밌다고 봐요. 그거 팬들도 보기에.
I've actually watched a decent amount of LJL games, and when he talks about mechanically behind, I think that the players are actually rather good. It's just working as a team and the macro, where it just kind of looks like a challenger solo queue game a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if TIP can keep that coordination up and get themselves a high-caliber game up here, because we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, for the second time with their full lineup, is Team Impulse. Fang up in the top lane, Proxen in the jungle, Purian in mid, Mash on AD carry, Gate on support with Coach Jason.
And on the red side, it's Counter Logic Gaming. Darshan in the top lane, Xmithy in the jungle, Huhi in the mid lane, Stixay at AD carry, Afromu on support, and Coach Zix taking care of the picks and bans.
All right, so as we get ourselves into this one, it is actually, and I think surprising to many fans here, a battle between teams that are very close in the standings. I want to keep saying this because I'm trying to say it so that I believe it because it's so surprising. Impulse were the 0-18 the Dream team. Like, everyone was bashing on these guys before the year came out, and I went and I watched, I read the Reddit thread on their loss to Energy, and the top comment was like, that felt pretty good as a TIP fan. Like, hey, I'll take the loss, but that was pretty solid. And that's what TIP feels like, is like they're so close to getting all these wins, and it just might happen.
Yeah, we have all of these players coming in, just like the game we just saw with Renegades, right? We had a new top laner with Flares coming in, and then we had Hakuo in the bottom. Well, this team has been up in the air, and now they're finally coming down and saying, this is our roster, this is what we can deliver. And TIP, they actually look like a squad that has a lot to deliver. They are that unknown quantity right now. How good are these guys, and how good are they going to be when they play together?
Absolutely. And of course, not to undercut CLG right now, 4-3 is a respectable record. There was a lot of questions about how good Stixay would be, how good Huhi would be, how good is Xmithy really, and CLG are still a top half of the standings team. When you've got players like Impact and GBM and the Immortals lineup, and CLG can hang with these guys or beat them even, it's definitely still a very strong team here. So a tough test for TIP and a win that CLG, I think, should want to pick up here.
I don't know if there's ever a win you don't want to pick up.
That's true. I realized that I ended that sentence really poorly, but
I do that so often.
I know, I just cut myself down for no reason. But CLG, like, I think they're still favored in this match.
Yes.
And CLG would feel favorites coming in, and getting up to 5-3 is a really big deal.
Yes, it's a very big deal, because then you start competing for those top spots.
Yeah.
And CLG do actually have a lot to prove. Because right now, they've had some issues where it's inconsistency. They've had really great early game lane swaps, and they were the team that was known for that last split. And now coming in, there's been a lot of kind of wrenches thrown in their plan, but usually by themselves, where they try to go with high execution team compositions, and then they play it really well at the start, but then closing the game just seems to bite them.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, speaking of biting, though, 3 champions banned away from Darshan. Going to take a bite out of his champion pool. Plus the Corki first pick. Impulse, I think, have done a very good job of prepping their beginning of champion select to remove high-profile champions from CLG. That does give over the Ryze and Kalista. And as much as those are high-priority champions, neither one actually wins all that frequently. I believe both are sub 50% win rates, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, what this leaves up for TIP is the double AD carry Lulu composition that's so popular now, where I guess double marksman, sorry, Freak.
No, it's okay, I got you.
Corki does magic damage. Big discussion in challenge.
You're good, you're good. I know, yeah. I heard you say ADC yesterday, by the way, in your casts, and on the analyst desk, I was shamed.
I only remember when you're around.
Yep, it's okay.
But still, the double AD carry, Lulu composition, can I say it again, is extremely powerful, and a lot of teams actually try to go for it. But up against a Ryze, you're going to need more engage on the side of CLG to reach a double AD carry composition when this Lulu gets locked in alongside the Corki.
Well, keep the backline safe. That's going to be the name of the day. Gate might be playing some Bard, which I actually like. Just locking up the Ryze during his sort of passive supercharge could be fun. Either way, that's actually not going to be the pick right here. It's looking like them hovering around back and forth. It will be the Bard with Elise alongside, so Lulu potentially given away to CLG. TF, you don't want it.
Yeah, a lot of threat of that Lulu, though. So if I'm CLG, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I grab a support that has engage at this point. I give Afro move, maybe Morgana. I pull up for him maybe a Braum as well.
Yeah.
Make sure that we have that engage, but
yeah, it is Afro missing his 2 best champions, which are Alistair and Bard here, so TFU managed to steal another champion away. And I also think potentially that Lulu hover is trying to bait CLG into picking it. Hey, remember this champion that everyone really likes that's still left? You guys wanna pick this champion? And I occasionally see teams who will actually, their strategy in champ select will be hover this champion, then pick the other one, hope they go for it. I've actually heard analysts give me that information before. And CLG, whether it's a bait or not, look like they are going to take the Lulu regardless, alongside Rek'Sai for Smithy.
wow. I think that composition is just so powerful. Now, having the Lulu and the Ryze for yourself, you pretty much don't need too much engage after that because you just speed up the Ryze and the Ryze gets a point-and-click route. So keeping him at an arm's distance is going to be rather tough.
Team Impulse now have to decide where that Corki is going as they round up their lineup. Fun thing for CLG is Ryze and Lulu can interchange their positions, but they will be top and mid respectively, almost for sure. Ryze comes into this game 0-7 in North America, by the way, so even though he's been popular, he hasn't found any wins yet, interestingly enough.
He dropped off a lot of teams' ban lists, mostly because of the fact that Cho'Gath was picked up by Huni in the top lane, so he was left open a lot by Immortals, but then also people were just playing Fiora into it. People are saying, oh, well, it's not a split pusher, so we get advantage over it. So we saw a bunch of Fiora versus Ryze duels in bot lanes and top lanes. Oh, they found ways to counter it. And, ooh,
yeah,
Quinn.
Who wants double marksman? Let's go for triple marksman here. Corki in the mid lane, Quinn up in the top lane, Lucian at AD carry. All they needed was Jungle Graves, but it was banned. Then TIP could have had the dream team here. But Bard and Elise, the only ones bringing utility to the squad. The rest of them just trying to dump out damage. And we'll see how well Fang can roam around the map. He had a very good Graves game yesterday. Quinn is a little bit different, but another marksman for him.
Yeah, another dominant lane marksman in the top lane. Quinn is a champion right now that every time I talk to a team, they start talking about how much Quinn is a priority for them, but they don't want to pick her super early. But she doesn't really have too many great counters in the top lane, right? You can play Lissandra into it a little bit. You can also play Graves into it if that's up, but then you pretty much go even and it becomes a skill matchup. But the big appeal of Quinn is the roaming power, because all you have to do is ulti and run into fog, and you cause pressure on the map. And even if you roam to another lane, you're either getting your top laner's TP, or you're actually going to be able to roam, get there, 2 seconds before them, boom, you make a play happen.
Yeah, well, speaking of making plays happen, CLG actually swapped the lineup out at the last second. I've always been waiting for when that Lulu support would come out, and it has now. CLG picked, air quotes, their 2 solo laners, and then said, just kidding, who he's going to play Zed into this Corki once they locked down if Corki was going to be in that mid lane after all. It is, so who he gets a counter matchup, you have to assume Lulu comes down to support. I actually like Kalista Lulu quite a lot. You have a lot of poke damage there, and you can probably out DPS Lucian plus Bard. So CLG have some powerful 2-on-2 setups here, and a lot of damage, and they still have that Whimsy to get their tanks into the front lines.
Yeah, the Whimsy's, the Whimsy's actually going to help the Kalista speed up how fast she hops and complete that animation, so she can continue to chase people down and get more stacks.
Yeah, move speed is actually more valuable than you would think on Kalista. The actual, as you were saying, the actual speed of the hop, not the distance, but the speed of it, the time it takes to animate, is hastened by movement speed. So there is some synergy there, some things to look for, but we have finished up the lineup. So you guys at home, send your votes to @LOL Esports on Twitter. It's hashtag TIP winner, hashtag CLG win. to let us know which team you think is going to win this one. These teams are neck and neck in the standings, 1 win apart. A TIP win would tie them at 4-4. Meanwhile, CLG, with their earlier energy loss, could take command of their own standings, move up to that 5th win. This could be a good thing for CLG, and we'll see if they can do it as we get ourselves onto the Rift for Game 4 of the day.
Ooh, Doran Shield early for Huhi. Having kind of a defensive Zed here up against Purian with the exhaust to deal with the Zed damage later on this Corki. I'm really interested to see how they end up making this triple AD composition work when they don't really have a dedicated tank at all. Everybody's squishy on this team. So Huhi, if he gets split push pressure, he could pretty much just combo anybody on this team, no problem. Does have to worry about Quinn, though. Quinn can be quite troublesome.
Yeah, we've been seeing most of the basically non-crit focused marksmen will typically go Mav, Mortius, and Sterix Gage. Even the Callistas will do that now, just to be more durable because they're a little bit shorter range. They don't always have the waves getting out, and it's being a bit bruisery helps them not get bursted.
Well, also, it gives base damage increase, and Callista's all total AD ratios on her Q and E, so she doesn't actually take a hit in terms of offensive ability too much when she gets a Sterix.
Yeah, the opportunity cost not quite as high for her. 2.5k apiece. We get ourselves another game. No one can start with bonus gold anyway, so that doesn't really mean much here. But Darshan will be chilling down to the bottom side of the map alongside his Rek'Sai teammate Xmithy. Mash trying to pull the minions back as much as possible, trying to help build a freeze. He is stutter stepping this pretty nicely.
Yeah. It's a blind lane swap here, actually, from both teams, both calling it. I'm interested to see who gets the winning matchup here, because Lucian is a lot of pressure early. Bard is also a lot of pressure. Is Aphromoo expecting to see a double jungle here from a top laner? It looks like it.
Yeah, and look at that. The Gromp not going to be able to be taken. A little bit of damage dealt to Mash and Gate. They will regen that before too long, but no real CS gained by anyone either way. Mash will get that caster minion in the melee as well, so no CS lost for either team for this move. But a little bit of health.
Stixxay is a little bit higher level than Aphromoo because Aphromoo missed out on a CS.
Okay, so that means after the 3rd melee dies in the 2nd wave, Aphro will not be level 2, though he would normally. And that can betray CLG a little bit. If TFE knows about this, they can push right up to level 2 and have a bit of an advantage.
And you see how Stixxay is posturing right now. Because he has that advantage because he got solo XP.
Yep. And if they go in right now, Aphro will not have his shield, but doesn't turn into much. Nice little bit of poke there from Huhi. Q in the W, gets some damage down. Fervor for both AD carries, standard stuff. Lulu does have a choice to go Thunderlords or not. Thunderlords is typically more common because laning power is important, but that was a choice.
What would you go on her instead?
You could go for the shielding one. You could go Wind Speakers and just... I'm not saying it's like, yes, you definitely should, but she's someone who will build a locket. After the laning phase is done, you're not going to trigger Thunderlords in a meaningful way anyway. So you have a choice, though it is rarely done. Also, Fang went Thunderlords and not for Fervor of Battle, which is up to discussion. I like Fervor a lot, though, on almost every marksman not named Corki.
Quinn's great with Fervor, but he wants to go for the burst where he just gets a combo off. And Smithy with the first gank.
Smart early Valkyrie by Purian. Of course, if he had done that late, Smithy could have knocked him up and interrupted it. But gets 5 gold for the gank, killing a tunnel off. Missing some CS, having to dodge away, though. Fang really going in on Darshan. And Darshan doesn't dodge the Q, so that means a lot of extra damage dealt in that trade.
Yeah, this is why people don't like playing against the Quinn, because the early power that she has with base damages is insane. And then when she gets Youmuu's, well, armor penetration works naturally incredibly well with base damages.
An important thing for those of you who end up playing this matchup at home, do not go in when Ryze is right about to get the full stack passive, because it'll just root you and send 7 spells at your face and you'll lose that fight. So make sure you track Ryze when going for this kind of play, but otherwise a great trade by Fang. And Huhi, always landing the slows, but getting traded back by Purian.
Yeah, he's staying even in CS with this Doran shield. And also, Purian hasn't used too many potions. So
yeah, that was only the first charge there. This is actually a good thing for Purian.
Yeah, actually, a little curious that he hasn't been trading more with the Zed.
Early game, it's hard because you just don't have the damage. Like, you have to learn Valkyrie at level 2, and rank 1 Phosphor Bomb auto attack is not exactly better than what Zed does to you.
And you only have E every about 14 seconds at this point, so getting your Thunderlords off.
Yep. And I mean, that's a 25-second cooldown, so you got to wait a little bit of time for that. Purian, though, starting to create a small lead over Huhi. Just minor stuff, though. Smithy roaming around the map. He'd ganked mid lane once, burned Valkyrie, walked top lane, killed a ward, but is otherwise just chilling. Proximity have not seen almost anything of so far in this game, but is actually nearby to Rek'Sai.
Smithy's still towards that top lane, still hanging out. Nothing has really happened from these teams, but I'm anticipating more roams from these supports. I want to see what Gate is able to do on this Bard. Pretty much that notorious roaming champion. Pretty much designed for roaming. Go get meat, you're rewarded for it.
Go pick up Chimes, get the move speed buff, walk into a lane, hope you land a Q.
Know
what
Chimes,
you meant. Yeah. I mean, technically you do get memes by getting Chimes, so you weren't exactly wrong, just indirect. Pyrion's starting to get really poked out. Who he gaining levels is going quite nicely.
Yeah, the first few levels for Zed are a little bit rough in ranged matchups. You want to use your Shadow to harass, but you want to make sure you're not in a position where they can capitalize on that with the jungle game.
But as much as that matchup might be rough, Huhi is down all of 2 CS as the first 6 waves collapse or so. So really can't complain much here. Smithy spots that Proxen is over there, and they're going to go right in for Pyrion. Huhi not 6, but look at that! Great flash away from the knockup by Smithy. Ignite will not quite get the kill. Pyrion just barely limps away.
Yep, and Zed hitting that critical mass right now. Level 6 now for Huhi. He was just a few CS away from that. Pyrion still holding on to his exhaust, though, so when he gets back to lane, he has the ulti. He's not at that gigantic disadvantage, but he still has the chase down of the flash available on Huhi's side.
And meanwhile, look at this duo lane right here. CLG actually well ahead, up 10 CS right now with only a few left on the field. Afro and Stixxay, again, I really like Lulu for the laning phase. She's very good at it, and they've actually pushed Mash and Gate off a number of CS here.
Yeah, she was always a lane bully. That was kind of in
her team fighting was questionable.
Sona. Her team fighting was questionable, but then boom, once you have so much AP available to you, she just becomes this gigantic asset. She scales incredibly well with it. That's why we're seeing her in solo lanes. But Xmithie looking for a gank here. The TP canceled.
All right, it does create the cancel from Fang, which now is maybe an opportunity. Both players actually started a TP and canceled, so just the fact that Impulse were ready to teleport right on time made CLG click the abort button there, and maybe they'll retry, maybe it'll fail. Those are the 3 options. Mash and Gate just still chilling in lane. And honestly, it's been I don't want to say fully docile laning phase. You've seen players trading each other quite voraciously, but it hasn't translated into kills just yet. Now it's on to Huhi to roam down to this bottom lane. Fang is in danger.
Darshan charge.
Darshan triggers, lands the root, puts in the damage, and here comes Huhi, flashes in. He's going to ult after Fang flashes. There's no way out for Quinn. Goodbye, pop! Goes the first blood for Huhi.
Huhi with the roam here, and Xmithie actually walks into the mid lane, making sure that no CS is wasted, and they're able to continue picking up gold. They're going to get damage on this turret, and there's nobody in this vicinity for TIP. All of their members are top lane, with Pyrion still in the mid lane. So this turret's actually going to take a substantial amount of damage, especially since there's no TP
but
either.
Here comes
but look
Proxen, the stun lands, Afro's ignited, gets the summoner heal, and they won't chase through. Gate's got to be careful. Heals himself back up, and now Stixxay could knock down Proxen, and he will with Red. He's still going forward. Ults Aphromoo in. They're going to find some damage on a Gate who doesn't trade back. A 3-for-0 to CLG.
And CLG get off to a gigantic early game lead here. 8 minutes in, picking up 3 kills for themselves across the map. Even more turret damage is going to come down here. If they're able to clear this wave, threaten Mash.
Well, CLG known as the Kings of Lane Swap, but winning the laning phase in mirrored lanes as well. Looks quite good as they just slink away after getting some turret damage and getting the minion lead here. Well done to CLG in the early game.
Yeah. Proxen gets the cocoon, gets the jump on him, but Aphromoo with the flash and the heal there from Stixxay to keep him alive. And Proxen still looks like he wants to fight, doesn't immediately pull out and repel away.
Yeah,
so Stixxay with the chase there. Got a tweet earlier today about him being an unsung hero. He's definitely showing up in this laning phase against the bot lane of TIP.
Definitely some great stuff from him. So, CLG now off a comfortable 1,100 gold lead before 10 minutes. I want to see how much they can use that there because Stixxay has some pretty big items in the belt. Cutlass and Hurricane, or not Hurricane, but a recurve bow is solid. And of course, half of Youmu's already done for Huhi as well. Has all the longswords he needs from it, so the room to make plays is definitely here.
Yeah, and CLG definitely have the composition to deal with TIP. Once they got this small advantage, it might just snowball.
He's got to be careful. Magical Journey does not seem to be up. He can't get anywhere away with this one. Just still getting auto-attacked. A nice double bind from Gate keeps him alive. But yeah, taking a lot of punishment here running across the map. Aphromoo playing really aggressive alongside Xmithie. I'm almost forgetting that it's support Lulu. Normally you see mid laners roam so much in this champion, but Ooh, this could be big. Tempered Fate hits Afro. Proxen wants to get the Cocoon. Is going to land it onto Xmithy, who walks in to tank it. Of course, still not the most durable Rek'Sai. No tank items built just yet, but enough to stay alive. However, that does give TIP control over the blue buff. Pyrian gets it without any questions asked. And Impulse don't lose too much.
Yep, Fang has that ultimate, so able to roam to the mid lane very quickly to pick up the minion wave. But Huhi looks like he's going to roam down bottom as this minion wave is going to crash against this turret. Possibly get more, possibly go for a pick on a Fang here from the brush.
Huhi goes right in, gets the slow, gets a ton of damage to this one. Ignite on as well. There's the ulti. Fang's got nowhere to go. And yet again, Maw means nothing. X-Drink or even less. A kill for Huhi. 2-0.
Huhi, he looked like he was taking a step backwards with his synergy on CLG. Well, he's making solo plays across this map, roaming and being attentive. He had to take TP for most of this season so far to get into these fights, but he's roaming earlier on Zed and showing.
Yeah.
That this style that he had back when I remember him from Fusion days. Remember?
Yeah.
He split push LeBlanc, split push Zed. This is right in his wheelhouse. He loves playing this champion and getting to that critical mass point where nobody on the map can duel him. And he would sometimes cost his team the game.
Sure.
Because he wouldn't group up and they would get 4v5'd. But
yeah. But
see
yeah,
if he's
I
got
really
rid of
like that
habit.
pick. That pickup by Huhi was very smart to identify that Fang would run down to the bottom lane because it was getting pushed in, wait in the brush alongside the path, gank him like a highway robbery, and it was really, really well done by Huhi. Great pickup there. Down in CS to Pyrian doesn't mean all that much. He's trying to get kills for his team, and that's worked out so far quite well.
yeah, sacrificing a little bit of his laning phase for pressure all over the map.
Yeah. Another longsword
Definitely
picked up
worth
as
it.
well. He is just stacking the damage as best he possibly can. 1,000 gold combined for Youmu's means you pick up the things up sometimes in between. Pyrian, though, will be able to wave clear pretty safely. Valkyrie away from Deathmark isn't hard either, so getting more kills in mid lane might be hard, but look at this TIP and CLG really in a battle. Nice hop away by Stixay.
Smithy from behind, though. He's going to tunnel over this wall.
And they
Here it
push Lulu in towards one while Rek'Sai knocks up the other. Tempered Fate gets all three! So Gate's going to casually walk out, get a two-man stun, and live, but they still get the pick up onto Mash.
Yeah, despite the swag ulti and getting 3 people, still, Mash goes down, has Flash available, but Xmithy was just, they didn't see him coming.
Yeah, flash knockup from behind. Really beautiful stuff there by Xmithy. His first assist of the game, already 3 kills and assists for the CLG members down in this bot lane here. So they've been doing wonderful things in their plays in this lane. CLG are very far ahead. No kills to TIP, no turrets, no dragons.
Yep. Can they make the perfect game happen? Huhi is already off split pushing in a side lane up against Fang.
That's not an easy matchup. And I love this, by the way, the choice of CLG to swap those laners around. Fang, rush to Hexstring.
Exactly.
To try to survive Rise. That's cute, here's Zed.
Prioritizing the magic resist and then having it swapped on you. It feels awful when that happens.
Yeah.
You really want to just swap it back.
I spent 900 gold on nothing. How wonderful.
But usually they don't. You usually want to swap it back, but you don't do that. It's so strange how that ends up happening because you're not used to playing from that lane sometimes.
Yeah. And thing is, Zed, even though he doesn't have teleport, is a natural split pusher, so team's very used to playing around this specific play style, and CLG could be just fine.
I'm curious if he still goes for a Blade of the Ruined King. Second item. Just because it helps you split push with the attack speed.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see what the build is because we don't see a ton of Zeds. Smithy wants to go in. Pyrian staying a little bit too far forward, but they bait it with the stun. Smithy! Ooh! Great ulti by Afro to keep him alive, but now on to Pyrian, and the last Praise Seeker hits. Goodbye to Corki. Tango down, and CLG have control of mid.
On this is going to be another turret going down in favor of CLG. Top lane wave actually gets shoved in. Mash? Can he get that top lane turret while all this is going on?
He's going to get as much damage as he can, but he's not part of this team whatsoever. CLG still pushing.
Zed, from the side here, Huhi may be wanting to get a piece of this fight.
He might. We'll see what piece he can get there. Looks like CLG will surrender, so there will be peace for now in the mid lane. Only turrets going down. TFP giving control over to Counter Logic. Top lane outer does go down thanks to Mash's splitting, but now comes the re-engage. Proxen, a great stun to stay alive. Huhi dives right in, but gets tempered, faded out. Can't do much here. Afmu has turret, aggro, has to run away. Lives with 800 health though, that's not a big problem.
Huhi was trying to engage there, but he actually got hit by a blinding assault and couldn't see who he wanted to get on. So he W'd through and then just had to walk out because of the Quinn blind.
Well done there. Good skill shot lands by the TIP top lane and jungler to keep the team afloat, but it's 5,000 down, 14 minutes in. Impulse have not found anything meaningful to do so far with their time. And again, it's Gate being found by Xmithy. A great tunnel to get away. CLG really putting the pressure on. 3 turrets, 6 kills already 14 minutes in. They've really created their own openings, and they've done well with them.
And CLG, this will be a good step for them if they take this game in this fashion and continue this, because inconsistency has been the problem for this team. Finding the groove for them, making sure that they don't play to the level of their opponents, and that they get the game out of their own hands and just gets away from them.
And right now, CLG definitely well in control. This game is in their hands, to be honest. 5,000 up. Here's the first dragon as well. Rend is saved. It's only Smite by Expect that takes it down. That's fine. Pyrion spotted by Stixxay. All these wards. Q, auto. And then Rend does hit. Nice play by Stixxay. Flash in. Whoa! He really wants this kill, and Stixxay gets the solo kill. Look at that one.
That was really nice. Stixxay hit the minion for an extra leap to the side. Also increased the range of it. Fang looking for... Oh!
He's going to get him. Goodbye, Stixxay. Assist goes over. Nice kill by Fang. I don't want to say not worth for Stixxay, but it did die at the end. And TIP actually, with map control, CLG all recalled off of that push. They were out for so long. They had money to spend. They had health bars to replenish. TIP actually immediately pushing back across the map and getting a turret.
Yeah, that's such a strange play to make, because you think in your head, I traded my flash for killing a member, but I died for a flash as well.
Yeah.
So it ends
Net
up being one of
positive
those
was
ones,
better for TIP.
Yeah, it's net positive better for TIP, and you think about it from the perspective of CLG. Well, you really wanted to make this play.
He had so many wards though. No one is below.
That's so nice.
Right. He's got complete coverage to know what's going on. And he runs super early. That's actually a pretty big miss by Stixxay.
He wanted it for the slow.
So I think he thought he was still in range of killing the caster minion because he hit it twice. 2 attacks, Rend at level 9 kills casters. And that would have given the reset. Means he could restack. The base damage is higher than the per stack damage, so if he was in range of the casters, that was optimal. Speaking as a Callisto player, I know all these little tricks. But he wasn't in range to kill the caster minion, so he burned Rend early, which almost got him killed. In the end, it worked out, so it's okay. But could have saved some health there.
Yeah, but that's one of those plays that you look at afterwards and you say, well, I probably shouldn't have been that aggressive. I killed the Corki, Quinn killed me in return, so giving a kill over to the Quinn, and it's also shutdown gold, is not worth it.
Sure, I think you're right. So, unfortunately, cash negative for CLG, but they're back across the map. 4,000 gold up. They're going to feel fine about this one. Getting some poke down with Huhi, Smithy, and co. Bottom lane tier 2 now under fire as all the outer turrets are already dead.
Darshan split pushing too.
Yeah, getting big on that rise. Tier and Rod of 8 is already stacking.
Really far ahead of where Fang is right now. So much damage on Darshan's side that Fang really can't even stand in that top lane at the moment. Especially with the item build that he's going. He's got multiple pieces of different items here. Looks like it's just going to be a Maw, and then maybe a Phage afterwards, Sterix, so he can survive. So I think he's going Maw Sterix right off the bat, possibly neglecting the Neomus.
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like Fang would have liked to finish Sterix a bit sooner. He had gotten the pieces of it. And there's the Jarum's Fist, but yeah, running to Serrated Dirk is interesting when you're dying to a Zed. That's fine. Minor itemization things don't usually cost you games. Bot lane tier 2 under fire, though. CLG still sticking around. Fang is going to find Darshan, and maybe that push towards the MR is going to matter, but there you can see Darshan gets the passive stacked up. Fang overstayed. Didn't respect the turn from Darshan. A great kill by the CLG top lane.
Yeah, he's a level up too, so he has that rank 2 ultimate, and he just throws out the machine gun damage. Darshan has TP, and they have to respect that on the side of TIP. They're going to give up this turret damage on the top turret as well.
Yeah, they gave up bot lane tier 2 to give up a kill and top lane tier 2 turret itself. So a ton picked up for CLG in the last 25 seconds here. Counter logic up 7,000 now off those plays.
Yeah, it's been pretty clean since they started picking up those 3 kills around 8 minutes into the game. But package here, does it have Darshan's name on it?
Pyrion wants in. Fang has teleport. He's going to use the bird form to run into bot lane. And Pyrion says, can I find Rise? Wow, jumps really far forward, gets the exhaust, and wants the 1v1. Darshan walks in, because why wouldn't you? But that'll mean more cooldowns are back up. That means the kills come through. Worth it.
Definitely worth it there. The package and the huge chase down.
Yeah. I would not have expected that to work. Props to Pyrion.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons we're seeing 80 carry Corki in the mid lane.
Yep.
Because mid laners are usually the ones who will dive forward that far.
Yep.
80 carries are like, no, that's a little too risky for me.
Wild Twitter would have done it.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Would you have done it?
If I had realized I could have gotten the kill, yes. I just didn't think he was going to be in range. I just didn't see that coming.
It's a long range on the package, but
yep. All right, well.
Huhi? Yeah.
Herald picked up, goes to Huhi, the split pusher. The minion buff means something, but the damage and the move speed means a whole lot more for him. So Huhi's going to have really no opponents that can stop him from continuing to push down. Baron is up in 20 seconds, which means they leave their non-teleport split pusher top lane, their teleport split pusher to the bot lane, and the rest of the team can stay mid.
Yeah, it's the 1-3-1 here. They also have Rek'Sai, so Rek'Sai is mobile as well. But I'm looking at the item build here. It's a Cinder Hulk for Proxen. I really, really, really like Runic Echoes on Elise.
Yeah, but he's the only tank.
The only tank.
He has to frontline.
It is triple AD carry. You have to do that. But it just
I know.
It feels great.
Bad not to have Runic Echoes on Elise. But about 1 out of 10 games we see it because of comps like this.
Also, who he's going to go for the Black Cleaver as his second item here.
Okay, I dig that.
Cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
More damage than it was before, less HP.
Sure.
Nobody's really going to be stacking armor on the side of TIPs, but he still shreds base armor.
Yeah, so it's just going to be... Yeah, it actually is better than the Last Whisper as far as killing squishies. And he's already got Yomu, so what is he going to buy except Ma? Well, Gate taking some poke. Mash waiting around. Fang wants... Yeah, he doesn't want to fight Huhi. There's no chance he wins this one. But Huhi will stay safe and let him just wait for under the turret. But that means Huhi can roam first. Fang still spotted. Smithy wants to go in. He gets a flash knock because here comes Huhi, and here comes the team fight. Shadow's coming across. Up on a mash he goes. Way too much damage to deal with. That will be a kill picked up. Huhi gets away safely, but now he's on the wrong side of this fight. Jumps back over to the Shadow, but he's still going to go down. Kill goes over to Gate. A 1-for-1, but it gives CLG control over this mid lane tier 2. Bit of damage coming through, and they may stay to knock this one down despite the backdoor bonus. In fact, they will.
Jump in between two turrets. Everybody has to run through and try to pile on. And Huhi goes for a dive and tries to, I guess, earn some style points.
Yeah. I think it was the right choice, though. CLG, very decisive. They've got the gold lead, so push them off the turret, try to get a kill trade in the process, and then knock that thing down.
And they get a lot off of it, though.
Yeah.
They get to clear the jungle on the way out. They get the blue buff. They get the mid lane turret.
Yeah.
So, yes, of course, net positive for CLG, despite it being a 1v1 or 1-4-1.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. And I really like that. Like, Huhi pushed the wave and said, guys, I'm roaming, let's go now, and he got the flash knockup. Huhi's already coming right now.
Yep. He's already coming from the side. It's a 1-3-1 collapse around the turret for the pinch. Knockup from Smithy, knockup from Afromu. Huhi jumps in, uses his combo onto Mash, tries to drop turret aggro, but there's actually nobody to get it because the Bard ulti came down. So Afromu couldn't pick up turret aggro there, so Huhi takes a decent chunk. He comes back, and yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the team collapsed on his ulti Shadow as Purian chased him out of the base. Yeah. It was really, really smart coordination by TFE in the backside.
Yeah, I actually liked the Bard ulti a lot because it made it so nobody could take turret aggro from Huhi when he came back out. But here we go, another engage coming out here.
Looking for the play, knock up onto Fang. That could be a dead Quinn, and it is going to be. And a trade as well as Gate goes down, a 2-for-0. He was solo killed by Darshan, actually. Props to the Rise player. Now Proxen about to be knocked up by Smithy. Finds it. Spider takes a bit of damage. They trade back. CLG get a 2-for-0, and once again, control the map.
Yep, mid lane has a mini wave coming up right now, 2-for-0, and it's so hard to break these sieges. You might have to use Lucian culling on this wave if you're Mash, but there's still an opportunity for an engage here. Huhi has ultimate, so does Afro.
5v3, good luck to TIP. They've got to run. Stixay pops the QSS. That doesn't take too much anymore.
Pretty smooth, but I saw him stop for a second.
Yep.
Not frame perfect.
Not frame perfect. He'd be a bad speedrunner. It's okay, moving in. Inhib could be going down. Darshan gets a big set of shields. They've already got the kill onto Purian. Here's the re-engage by TMP. They cannot kill off Huhi, though. It's going to be a 3-for-0 to delayed ace as the team respawns. No, actually, it's killing Gate twice. Mash stayed up, but it's 3-14 CLG.
CLG
taking the pie.
Playing a very clean game right now. They might go for the 24-minute win here. They're going to get at least one Nexus turret, but look at this, Darshan!
Just finds Mash, deletes him off the map, 3-15. They're going to keep going. Down goes Fang, and oh my word, under 30 minutes. No one's here left to defend this one. Goodbye, CLG. Crushed the game in quick fashion, decisively, with plenty of kills. 24 minutes, CLG tied for second.
Moving themselves up in the standings. Much cleaner game there. They can be happy about that one. Huhi was definitely on top of his roams during that early game. Ends the game 4-1-2, but also Stixay 7-1-5. And Stixay had a great performance. That one death where he jumped forward, he still mechanically outplayed, but he definitely was showing that, you know, he's got big shoes to fill, but he's up to the task.
Yep. Let me look across the game. Really great stuff by the CLG duo lane. Huhi made the split push work quite nicely. I think definitely you could say, Stixay, you mentioned him already, was the big workhorse of this game. And CLG did not make it look close. They got a couple of kills early on and then just completely took control. No delay whatsoever, jumping in against the squishies constantly. Smithy was happy to flash knockup, who was happy to just dive the back line and pick people off.
Yeah.
And Afro just helped make it happen. A 6-8 just dumped the damage in.
Yeah, Afro actually has a lot of damage in this game. He's at 5,800, and that's more than Elise, Lucian, and Bard.
Yep.
So he's right behind Smithy by about 600 damage. So Afro actually showed up this game with a lot of harassment on that Lulu, showing that as a support, it's still a very viable pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually really do like support Lulu. I think she's quite strong. Best performer here from TIP. You expect it because it's the poke Corki, but Pyrian, 16,000 damage, actually highest in the game. Did what he could for the team. Honestly, laned pretty well. He had a couple of really nice solo plays, but Impulse just fell apart that game.
Yeah. That game was mostly the outplay in the top lane where the AD carries started picking up kills, and then also on the bot side of the map, he roamed twice, killed Feng twice, and then was put in the lane against him when he had already built a Hex Drinker for the Ryze matchup. So CLG actually played the map appropriately with the lane swap and really kind of screwed over that Ryze pretty hard with the Quinn.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of very smart choices by CLG.
No, but with the Zed, yeah.
Yes, I know what you mean. CLG, a lot of good choices. To win in 24 minutes just means you got to do a lot of good things right quickly without hesitation. So props to them for a very tenacious game. But now for a deep dive into that commanding CLG victory, let's send it down to Riv, who's Rift side.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Huhi of CounterLogic Gaming after their decisive victory over Team Impulse. Coming out into this game, you guys looked like, after the first few kills, as they just said on the desk, you guys had everything rolling. Coming into this game, what were you expecting from Impulse? Because you played so clean.
To be honest, we just practiced versus Immortals this week, and then we naturally became a little better. So we just naturally beat them, I think. And then we practiced a lot of instead of practicing strategy, we tried to figure out our pick and bans.
And kind of directing this towards you as a mid lane player coming in for CounterLogic Gaming this year, what type of player do you like to be? We saw the Zed play, it was really clean this game. Is that what fits your role, or are you just there to play anything for the team?
I usually like to play assassins, but I'm a player that wants to sacrifice anything to win. So I can also sometimes 2v1 mid, let Darshan get farm. Then I'll get denied, something like that, yeah.
Or dive into the base, go really hard at the end of the game. Things like that we see. So final question to you, Energy, Team Solo Mid next week. You guys are now tied neck and neck with score. How are you feeling about those matchups?
We feel confident every single week. And then we're just trying to accept this season as a way to improve. And then we're going to perform on playoffs. So right now we're trying to improve instead of caring. Yeah.
No, instead of just carrying, he said, well, everything's going fantastically. Congratulations on the game and best of luck in the future. To break down more of that game, we're going to throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Riv. Huhi saying he prefers to play the assassin-type champions. He had his opportunity to do so in this game, playing the Zed. Yeah. As was mentioned by the casters at the desk, plenty of roams in there, definitely helped them get the ball rolling early, picking up those early kills and helping keep the Quinn down in that Ryze-Quinn matchup.
And that's something I like, how CLG handled the transition from Pobelter to Huhi. One of the things that they first recognized was Huhi's roams way more, but he gets behind in CS sometimes and it kind of loses a lot of pressure mid. Instead of saying, oh, never roam, taking that hard line approach, or don't roam around, stay in lane, try and hold. They're find the middle ground, roam when appropriate, and they were able to work it in here. He had a huge impact on the game on that Zed.
Yeah, and it changes expectations too. The same could be said of the way Stixxay has kind of stepped into the shoes of Doublelift, because you're no longer trying to fill the shoes of an old player. He's not trying to lane like Pobelter. He's trying to be his own individual player that roams more. Stixxay's not trying to be Doublelift. He's trying to be a lower farm, more team-oriented AD carry.
Who goes and solos the mid laner and splashes forward.
Didn't see Doublelift do that.
That gives the shutdown and the assist back, unfortunately, at the tail end of that. But this really kind of was an interesting bounce back for the team after a tough loss to Immortals yesterday. CLG looking a lot more to form.
Letting out some of that anger.
Maybe that's what it was.
Rage.
I mean, they seemed very overzealous yesterday in their game and keeping this. They had a few overzealous moments, as was just mentioned, Stixxay in the mid lane, but for the most part, established a sizable early lead that kind of let them do what they want. One of the ways in which they did that, though, was the strength of their bot lane. Afromoot and Stixxay, we have a replay, 2v3 even, turning things around. We'll get that up on your screen. because this was kind of the mark of all things going downhill for Team Impulse.
And this was, well, look at 6A, he's not level 6 right now, by the way, so he's gonna get this kill, flash forward onto Pyrian. He gets level 6 off of killing him, instantly levels up his ultimate, calls Afromu back in, and then gets the kill with Afromu landing the Glitter Lance too. So that's something you miss, you know, being able to quickly level up your skills, you have to have those hotkeys set. For everybody else, you know, and 6A is able to react very quickly. Oh, I got level 6. Like, he knew what his experience was at. He was flashing forward, counting on that to chain into another kill. And after that, I mean, it just went really, really downhill for Impulse. Because CLG, right before that, they had gotten a kill across the map on the other side.
Right.
So everything was going CLG's way.
I think there's a lot of value in the support Lulu pick there for Afromu in particular. He's always been a really good support Lulu player, but in past years, when that's locked in, you never think it's going support. So I do think he caught Team Impulse a little bit off guard, really that whole game. It's been a while since they probably played against Lulu in a pro play or even a scrim.
Yeah,
as
very
a
good
support.
point.
Not
Yeah,
Lulu
it is
general.
it's an interesting flex pick, being able to throw that Lulu down into the support position. You know, for Team Impulse, this is going to be a tough week for them up against CLG and Energy. They take the losses against both of them. Pyrian maybe being the bright spot for them as a team, but definitely they've got some work to do ahead of them in order to keep at the top of the or in the middle of the table and make a case for themselves making playoffs. Now looking ahead, CLG next week, Energy and TSM. So they've got a big week ahead of them. You know, they've got to have some confidence coming off of a win like this. However, if they're comparing themselves to how they've done against top-tier teams, the Immortals game is going to definitely weigh on their conscience a little bit.
Yeah, well, we have that logjam at 5-3 right now. What, it's 4 or 5 different teams?
4, 5, and 3 teams with that win
4,
right there.
5, and 3 teams right there. So next week is super exciting because CLG
they're playing 2 of them.
Multiple of those 5 and 3 teams. So that is the biggest week of the year for them. And I think this win does a lot to kind of build their confidence moving towards that moment.
And there's a lot of variance in all these teams that you're talking about that are stuck at 5-3 for a reason. You know, some of the games, they're looking great, and then they have exactly the next day have a complete collapse. You know, there are multiple, you know, swings in each game where you think they're winning up until they are no longer winning.
Yeah, exactly. You're just going to have to wonder which CLG, which TSM, which Energy shows up next week for these games, and it'll be a really telling week for those 5 and 3 teams. However, we have one more match to get through today. Our final battle of the day, Team Dignitas is going up against Echo Fox. Don't close this tab. We'll be just back in 3.5 minutes.
Wait, where's head referee typing from?
Backstage.
No, he just talks and it goes in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I wish I could do that.
It's like the Wizard of Oz when the guy talks behind the curtain.
I never watched Wizard of Oz.
All right, we lost.
Knock down Croxon, and he will with Ren. He's still going forward. Ults Afromu in. They're going to find some damage on a Gate who doesn't trade back. Pyrian staying a little too far forward, but they bait it with the stun. Smithy, ooh, great ulti by Afro to keep him alive, but now on to Pyrian, and the last Praise Seeker hits.
I'm ult you in. All right, I got Rise.
Backing
Go
up.
for Elise, go for Elise, go for Elise, go for Elise.
I sped you, Trevor. Back up, back up, back up.
Here's the re-engage by TMP. They cannot kill off Huhi, though. It's going to be a 3-for-0 to delayed ace as the team respawn. 24 minutes, CLG tied for second.